Okay, so the day of your event is here. You're ready to prep. You're going to open up to the home page of the app. You're going to find the gray box that shows your date. It's going to open up the invite screen here. It's going to ask you if you still want the same number of bottles. We do. We want 9. So in the bottom left, we hit prep. First time using the app, it's going to ask you to use your camera. You need that both for scanning QR codes, as you see here. You don't have to get the QR code super close. About 6 inches is the sweet spot. But on the label, you do want to bring that up, make that really big, and hit that circle at the bottom to take your photo. That will automatically advance you to the questions that are needed to be asked. 4 mandatory questions. We're going to go ahead and jump ahead here to the 7th bottle to take you through a full process of answering those questions. So grab any bottle that you have not yet scanned into the tasting. Take the next bottle that you have to add into the tasting, bring that label super close, get it nice and centered, and then go ahead and take that picture. It auto advances to these 4 mandatory questions. If you're not happy with your picture, by the way, just go up to Manage Photos and change that picture out. If your bottle's a non-vintage, there's an NA option. Go ahead and select that. In this case, it's a 2014. If your brand is not here, the Mi Sueño, you can go ahead and type that out, hit the plus sign there, and it'll add that for any future times using that bottle. Most brands are in there. The varietal and the region, just type in any 3 letters. It'll auto-populate the option. This happens to be a Napa Valley blend. So we're going to hit red blend. And then in region, we're going to put in NAP and Napa Valley. And there's a couple hundred regions from around the world that are also in the database that'll auto-populate. Down here, these last two are not mandatory fields. This just happens to be a bottle that it's not the only bottle of red that Mi Sueño produces. So we're going to put in the specific name of this bottle, El Llano. And then we're going to go ahead and add the cost. Again, not a mandatory field. We'll go ahead and hit submit. It's going to take us to the transfer page. We have as long as we want here to do the transfer. When complete, we'll hit done. The best way to do a prep is to have 3 people if possible. It takes less than 10 minutes for 3 people to prep an event. One person takes 20 to 25 minutes. Best way to do it is have the host or whoever knows the app best to do the inputs on the app, have another person hold the bottle and read off vintage, varietal, etc. And when those 2 people are done with the bottle, they pass that off to a third person that you see here who will both uncork the bottle and then do the transfer. This happens to be the premium funnel. You can see how it kind of disperses and aerates the wine as you go through the pour. When completed, we're going to hit done. Here we are going to advance through the last 2 bottles, at which point it's going to let us know it's time to shuffle. One person can probably shuffle, but if you wanted to have multiple people go ahead and shuffle, that's fine too. And then when you're done shuffling, when you feel like it's complete, you're ready to move on to part 2 of the prep. Now that we're at the second and final part of the prep, we're just a few minutes away from beginning the tasting. You should be at a screen that shows 9 colored crowns. And what we're going to do here, since we're doing a 9-bottle event, we're going to pick up every silk. We're going to put them randomly on the neck of any bottle. Note these bottles have been shuffled. If we were doing just a 3-bottle event, we would only need the red, yellow, and navy silks. For 4, 5, or 6 bottles, the lime, the orange, and the sky silks. And for 7, 8, or 9 bottles, the pink, the forest, or the violet silks. Note that we're leaving the QR code in the back of the bottle exposed for one final scan. Here's the page I referenced earlier, the colored crowns. We're going to jump ahead and do 3 automatically. You can see the red polka dots, the orange squares, and the navy stars have all been submitted. The next bottle up will be the pink stripes in the bottom left. We're going to click on that. It automatically opens up the scanner. We then grab the bottle that's been ringed by the pink stripe silk. We give that a scan, and now you see that that has been submitted. As we continue through this visual process, which is rather obvious at this point, I'm just going to answer some frequently asked questions about BottleJockey. Some people have asked what's the best type of event to do from a style perspective. Have your friends bring the wine or you acquire it ahead of time. It's really fun to have your friends bring wine, stuff they've bought at a winery, stuff that they have in a cellar or a wine fridge potentially that you don't normally have access to. That's great. The challenge is all your friends have to basically arrive on time or potentially deliver you the bottle early to prep. Alternatively, you could host the event out of your own pocket. You could ask your friends for Venmo, or in the corporate events that I've seen done, just put that on the expense account and have 1 or 2 people volunteer to prep the event ahead of time. There's also an opportunity to assist the host. I explained one version earlier where you just use 1 mobile device and 3 people. That is pretty quick. But if you wanted to use multiple mobile devices, I will put out a future video on that. There is one challenge, and that is if 2 people pick the same bottle, you could have some crossover and actually ruin your prep of your event, ruin your event completely. So you want to be careful with that. Wait for the video is what I'd recommend. And then lastly, people have asked, can you only do red and white wine, or what's the future of BottleJockey? There will be more alternatives in the future. In fact, now if you really wanted to try something else, you could say it's a red wine event. Just fill out the different criteria to the best of your ability to the bourbon you might be tasting, or the tequila, the vodka, the lemonade, the olive oil, whatever. Just use your best judgment in doing that. But you could do that today using these bottles. So I encourage you to do that if that's what you're into. Here we are doing the last bottle, one final scan. Put the bottle down. We'll slide the silk down. Notice that it says begin tasting at the bottom. That's now highlighted. That wasn't there before. It's asking you, are you ready to begin tasting? And then this is what the tasting page looks like. So we're ready to move on.